Thank you, friend. Shabbat Shalom. Toledot, the records. Daniel, my brother, you are older than me. Do you still feel the pain of the scars that won't heal? Your eyes have died, but you see more than I. Often mistranslated as the generations and taken as a family history, this Parsha, Toledot, really means the records and is about the birth of Jacob and Esau, the ultimate sibling rivalry and a marvelous example of how our intention, or kavanah, sets in motion karma. As the song by the Blue Jays from 1975 said, "My brother, if you could cast a little light on someone, it's not too soon. You took me halfway round the world. I'm running out of time and reasons." Family conflict, from Agamemnon's to Hamlet's to the brothers Karamazov, have captured the imagination of people because we see the truth in these stories. But perhaps they all originate here. There is a power to sibling stories and an even greater myth with twins. Many feel that twins embody the double aspect of man's soul and personality, individually and in toto. We all know the great Robert Louis Stevenson story, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the Alexander Dumas novel, The Man in the Iron Mask. We see the good and bad aspects of personality and the opposites we all carry as being contained in one or the other. But in reality, of course, every person is a composite of positive and negative traits. Our sages have portrayed Esau as a hairy brute, somewhat undeserving of the birthright due him, and Jacob as a peaceful, loving individual. One was a hunter, and one a man of the field, very much like two other famous brothers from long ago, Cain and Abel. And one was favored by father, and one was favored by mother, as we are told in Genesis 25:28. Now Isaac loved Esau, and Rebekah loved Jacob. This statement alone is a potential prescription for hurt, suffering, soul-searching, and disaster. This is the ultimate story about sibling rivalry, friends, and about a dynasty founded by deception. Everyone who reads this story is surprised at what the patriarch does to his brother and to his father. And while most seek to justify, the Torah itself neither denigrates Esau nor excuses Jacob. In fact, Jacob will suffer corresponding recompense for every deception he commits. Friends, one of the great things about the Tanakh is that none of our heroes are perfect. As immortalized by the Hollies in 1969, the road is long, with many a winding turn that leads us to who knows where, who knows when. But I'm strong, strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. We all know the story. The struggle began in their mother's womb. Esau is born first, and Jacob held on to Esau's heel. And many sages suggested it was to hold Esau back so he could come first. Being born first has certain rights and privileges which are non-deniable. And in order for events to unfold, changes have to take place. And those changes come as a result of deception and manipulation. Jacob manipulates Esau in order to get the birthright for himself. Jacob, with his mother, deceives his father in order to get the blessing Isaac meant for Esau. In the next few parshas, Jacob's uncle Laban deceives Jacob regarding the marrying of his daughters. Jacob's sons deceive him when they sell Joseph into slavery, and Joseph deceives his brothers when they come to Egypt to purchase food, and on and on and on. What isn't so apparent is that for every act of deception, there is an ironic recompense. We begin with Jacob obtaining Esau's birthright. Jacob convinces Esau to give it up. After all, Esau says it won't do him any good if he is dead from hunger. So he trades it, my friends, for lentil stew. Years later, Jacob's karma comes back on him. He loves his cousin Rachel and works for her father Laban for 7 years to obtain her hand in marriage. And on the day after the wedding, Jacob finds out he wed Rachel's older sister Leah instead. And he asks Laban, "Why have you deceived me?" And Laban answers, "It's not done like that in our place, to give the younger one before the firstborn." Many translations have the younger before the older, but it is the younger before the firstborn. The man who took away his firstborn brother's privilege now suffers because of the firstborn privilege of his beloved's sister. Instant karma is going to get you, going to knock you off your feet. Better recognize your brothers, everyone you meet. Our sages have contemplated and discussed several key issues. How could Isaac not be aware of the true nature of his twin sons? Why did he insist on blessing his apparently wicked son Esau? Why was it necessary for Jacob to get the blessings intended for his brother? Remember, friends, it's not the Torah that says Esau was wicked. It's our attempt at justification. Questions 2 and 3 are the rights of birth order, which provided not just the physical transfer of assets, but the right of spiritual leadership also. It's us seeing them as good and evil. But in reality, we end up seeing that Esau was compassionate and didn't hold a grudge and truly loved his brother, while Jacob was conniving and fearful and faced his karma in episode after episode. Jacob's second karmic event was appropriating the blessing his father intended for Esau. Isaac was blind and near death and asked Esau to hunt him some game before he blesses him, and Rebekah overhears. Has Jacob get the game from the flocks, prepares the food, and dresses Jacob in Esau's clothes. When Jacob hesitates, he does so not because it's wrong, but because he fears Isaac will know he's deceiving him and will curse him instead of blessing him. His fear of being caught is his only hesitation. We understand he has to put the fur of the goat on his arms and neck to feel hairy, because the near-blind Isaac will feel him. But why did he have to wear Esau's clothes? It was in order to smell like him, my friends. And years later, his sons would dip Joseph's coat in the blood of a goat to deceive him into believing a wild animal had killed Joseph. Jacob deceived his father with the skin of a goat and his brother's clothes. And then his sons deceive him with their brother's coat and the blood of a goat. Isaac's a passive character in this whole parsha. We know less about him than anyone else. He's different from his father and from his son. Both their names were changed. His never was. He never leaves his home. He's always content and peaceful. He never fights. He only has one wife. He was passive. He was acted upon by his father, his wife, and by his son. Perhaps the near sacrifice was also the defining moment of his life. Perhaps it made him consecrated and different. The impact of things our parents do to us can stay with us forever. Isaac blesses Jacob, believing him to be Esau, and like in any good TV show, as Jacob, disguised as Esau, leaves the tent, Esau enters. And we see how Esau and Isaac cry out and are so gravely hurt by the actions of Rebekah and Jacob. And that anger, my friends, is ultimately resolved by forgiveness. So on we go. His welfare is of my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there, for I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. Shabbat Shalom.